Yes, welcome back guys. So I'm going to be starting a new series on this YouTube channel where I'll be recording my trades whilst I enter them on MT5 live with you, and then afterwards I'm going to be giving you guys a breakdown of why exactly I took this trade. Now I've been getting a lot of comments since the past few videos have blown up about prop firms, about you wanting to know more about my strategy. So now this series is going to be a regular weekly basis where I'll be giving you guys a breakdown of why I've entered those trades and the live profit as well. So this trade in particular was on my personal account, so this was nothing to do with no prop money or anything, because I think it's also important to be growing your personal account as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Right, so jumping onto the charts, that trade you just saw a time lapse of was taken on gold, and if I use the replay tool over here, I believe the markets were around something like this when I first jumped onto the charts and playing out. So straight away I highlighted this low over here. Now this low is very important to consider, because if price cannot maintain above this level, this then means that price is now shifting to the bearish side. So you can see that we did get closed below this low over here. However, it can just be a fake out, so I was keeping open-minded. And as we break it down to lower time frames, you will see that we're highly dependent on my entry signals before I take these trades. So just this alone would not be enough for me to be taking buys. I need to start dropping down to lower time frames and building up a story and a confluence of why exactly I should be taking this trade. So now if you drop down to the 30-minute time frame, this is where the main analysis starts happening. Now you can see straight away, if we hover over this region over here, you can see that these are the New York lows. These sessions are important to highlight, because you can see, right, price pushed down into New York lows and started respecting it several times. So that is another confidence that you can build up as you start progressing in your trading career. So now focusing a bit more on structure, you can see once New York lows were created, we saw this immediate push up away from this level before a retracement. So this was our lower high point at this point over here. Then again we saw another impulse move to the upside, so structure is maintaining bullish on the 30-minute time frame so far. Then once we start getting this choppy behavior occurring, we saw an eventual push down, breaking these lows. Now these were very significant lows on the 30-minute time frame, as this was our major level of demand. So you can see once we eventually got a break of this level of demand, now it is acting as our level of supply. So this is why in my analysis, when I was jumping on the charts, I marked this level out over here as an important level of supply, which price could potentially come back up into and find some sort of level of resistance. So this was my ultimate take profit from the trade that I took over here. So once this is marked out, we know that this is our ultimate take profit. This is our TP2. We could then drop down to the 5-minute time frame. This is where I start using my moving averages as well, which can help me build up a picture and build up a confluence. So again over here you can see that price is now shifting bearish, coming off the 30-minute time frame, which is over here, and you can see structure is forming lower highs and lower lows. At this point, this is where I started highlighting my level of supply. which I would consider it to be around over here, as I'm taking the average of the move. Now I'm also color coordinating my level, so I understand, okay, this level over here is my 30-minute level, and this level over here is my 5-minute level. This helps me understand where I am in price and what market is doing in each time frame. So right now the 30-minute and the 5-minute is bearish. However, we're looking for buys based off the fact that the time frame hierarchy states that the 4-hour time frame is going to be stronger than the 30-minute and the 5-minute. So this is where I want to start looking for areas of demand where I can see price holding and pushing up above. So if we start looking at the microstructure over here, you can see once we saw this impulsive move down, we are then forming this sort of mini uptrend beginning from this point over here. Once I saw that clean demand level, this is where again I highlighted my level of demand, and this is where I wanted to look to take entry. So again, around 1 p.m. is where I start looking, where I jump on the chart. So 1 p.m. is around this region over here. So once we started breaking down, this is where I'm starting to think, okay, this setup may no longer be valid due to the fact that we're breaking these lows over here. So the low I was specifically looking at was this one over here, and the reason I'm looking at this low is if we cannot sustain above this low and hold above this low, then that means my setup is no longer valid. But as you can see, we formed this sort of V shape. This is basically implying a fake out. Now there's very specific details I look for in order to understand if it's a break of structure or if it's just a fake out. Now this is not something I'll go too much into detail, but since I saw this sort of formation, price breaking back above these lows, I knew, okay, this was just some sort of manipulation, grabbing maybe the lows over here or some other orders further back. Once I understood and price closed back above, this is where I started focusing on the micro structure, which was on the 1 minute time frame. And again, on the 1 minute time frame, since I'm structure based trading, I want to highlight my level of supply on the 1 minute again, which was over here. And once we can get a clean break and retest of this level, that's where I'm looking to enter. So that's exactly what we got. We saw price push back up before closing right back below. This is where I was not looking for entries because again, this is a fake out. I'm not really interested. Once we got this confirmed break and retest holding above this level, this is where entries were taken. So entries should have ideally been taken at this engulfing, but since you're in the live markets, as this closed, price started moving up, so I got filled around about here. Now my stops were below these lows over here, around about here, and my first take profit was again this level of supply. Now you can see that this level of supply was clearly filled and our take profit got hit, and that's exactly where I ended up closing my trade for a nice 1 to 8 risk to reward. So anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this breakdown. It was just a quick breakdown of why exactly I took this trade. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to drop a comment, subscribe, and be sure to follow the links in the description below for my Instagram and my free Telegram. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.